Hello, witches, and welcome. We survived the new moon in Leo, and we looked damn good doing it. This Leo energy is overwhelming as hell. And this is not surprising. This is how Leo does it. Leo is not going to let us sit on our asses and stay in our comfort zones. And we can talk a lot of shit about Leo, but what we must absolutely acknowledge is that Leo challenges us. Leo does not believe in stagnation, and so it isn't going to allow us to coast. Leo does not suffer fools gladly, so we better come prepared for all possible scenarios. And Leo isn't going to let us play dumb, so we can't pretend we don't know what we're doing or what we need to continue to do. This new moon in Leo is ready to party, ready to have a good time, but it's ready to put us to work too. And that's good. Sometimes we need that kick in the ass. Thank you, Leo, for that. So last week we spoke about Death Magick, and I get a lot of really constructive feedback. But what I did not do during that episode was read the original email from the witch who suggested this topic, who happens to be a funeral director. And I didn't read my responses either. And I was going back through that email, and I feel like some of her questions bear answering here. So I'm going to leave a lot of her personal info out for reasons of privacy, but I will share some of it. And her questions are as follows. I've always thought that once someone dies, the deceased's spirit would pass on, most likely to be reincarnated. But if they didn't, they're more likely to stay at the place of death or go to their loved ones. Where do you think people go when they die? If you think a spirit would follow a funeral director, do you have any suggestions on keeping me protected? I've noticed there's been a handful of times throughout the years that I've been able to guess certain things the deceased liked, and to my surprise, have it confirmed by the family. Sometimes it's something small, like I get the feeling I should put a butterfly pin in the casket, put a specific flower in their hand. The poem for the memorial folders that I suggest to the family fits the deceased's personality perfectly. The colors I pick for their lipstick are what they would have worn in their life, etc. It's not like I hear a voice that necessarily says do this, but I feel drawn to do certain things that I wouldn't typically do. Do you think that's the deceased's spirit telling me? Is there a way to hone that communication without opening myself up to every dead person that I've encountered? And then her final question was, I've never handled the funeral arrangements for a witch before, but have you ever attended one? If so, what was it like? If not, what kind of rituals would you want for your funeral? So there's a lot in there that we didn't get to in the Death Magick episode, but I'll go through these questions and what I told her in response. As far as what I think happens after we die, and this is just my opinion, I believe that we remain here in this place for a while, just on the other side of the veil, and then we are eventually reincarnated. I believe that it varies how long we remain here before we move on to our next lifetime. And, this is why I can still communicate with some of my deceased loved ones and my ancestors. I also think that sometimes when people pass, they're not ready to go, or they don't realize that they've died, or they just plain don't know what to do. And so they linger in places that they don't belong. I believe this is why some spirits inhabit their homes long after their families have moved out or passed away, for example. I think it's absolutely reasonable to expect that one of these spirits could become attached to their funeral director or embalmer. If they happen to be staying close to their body because they're confused or they're upset or they're unable to move on, then it would make sense that they would feel comforted by you, by someone who knows what they're doing. You're handling their body respectfully. You're preparing it for burial. You are at ease with their remains, and they probably feel that you're knowledgeable and trustworthy. You're not distraught like their loved ones are, and you're not in emotional pain. You are at peace. This has to put them at ease in a way that could cause them to become attached to you. And I have no doubt that this is why she's able to receive impressions about the deceased that she works with. She's a stable presence. She's a point of security for them. And she also definitely has some psychic ability. And so, the best way for her to strengthen that is to trust it. When we get those impressions and we have those gut feelings, we have to listen to them. Don't try to talk yourself out of it or rationalize it away. The more you trust your ability, the more trustworthy your ability will become. That's just how it works. Now, with that said, you will want to set boundaries so that these spirits don't follow you home every other day. And I recommended some black obsidian to protect yourself and to discourage attachments. And, simple obsidian jewelry is inexpensive and it's relatively neutral so that you can wear it often in a professional environment. But when all else fails, using your voice to firmly command unfamiliar spirits to leave you alone will work. You are the living soul. You are much stronger on this plane than anyone who has passed. I would also suggest that you get some iron nails or railroad spikes and plant them at the four corners of your property. And if you're in an apartment, put them in the corners of your home on the inside of the walls. This is a cheap, effective, and lasting way to secure your borders. And then lastly, I've never attended a witch funeral, but my personal plan is to be cremated. My family can do whatever they like with my ashes, although I do suspect that my daughters will probably keep some of them at least for use in ancestor work or protection spells. This is fine with me. I'm happy to help. I prefer a short service. I want everyone to wear yellow and also wear a sprig of rosemary for comfort and protection. And then whatever the hell they want to do. Afterward, I want a party with a bonfire, drinks, general revelry. I want people to have a good time because I do plan to be there and I hate a boring party. So, thank you very much to that witch. And if you would like to suggest a topic or if you simply have some questions, you can email me please at eli@middleagedwitch.com. Now, this week's episode is all about potions. We're keeping it light. The ambient energy right now is intense enough. So we're going to talk about potions. Yes, I'm saying the word potions because it sounds so much better than the word cocktail. We're taking back the word potion. We're reappropriating it. And I really want to talk about how we can use mixed drinks, suspensions, elixirs, what have you, herbal concoctions, if you will, to support our magic. And we're going to talk about how we can give these infusions additional significance and additional potency beyond just the ingredients that they contain by calling them what they are, magical potions, and infusing them with our magical intent. We're going to talk about spirits, alcoholic drinks, because I do personally feel that there's a lot we can do with spirits within our craft. But I also recognize that a lot of witches do not consume alcohol either in their craft or even socially. That's A-okay. There's a lot of pressure socially for people to drink, and there are a lot of reasons why someone wouldn't want to. And that's fine. We are not here to make anyone feel uncomfortable or feel like their boundaries are not being respected. So bear in mind as we go through all of this that we can make non-alcoholic drinks using plenty of the ingredients that we're going to talk about. But firstly, for witches who do partake, there are a lot of ways we can use spirits to support our magic. And although this will not be an exhaustive list, we are going to go through some main spirits that we might use as mixers for creating our potions. And we're going to talk about a lot of other things that we might add to mixed drinks and cocktails, and we can completely use the rest of the info to make non-alcoholic drinks and cocktails that are going to give us so many of the same benefits as the alcoholic versions of these drinks. I like the idea of finishing a ritual or any serious, strenuous spell work with a drink that will serve to not only help us unwind, but it's also a way to literally internalize and then carry forward the intentions and the purpose of the work that we've just performed. And as I was trying to go through how I wanted to arrange all this information, I decided we're just going to organize it according to the intention. So we're going to start with luck and money. Both of these intentions are strongly associated with earth magic, and incidentally, so is protection. And the primary spirit that comes to mind when I think of earth magic is vodka. This is a distilled alcohol. It's typically made with potatoes, and potatoes are absolutely of the element of earth. So a drink made with a vodka base can absolutely be assigned the intention of supporting our luck spells, or our money work, or our protection magic. Any vodka drink. And then you can add mixers. Another good element in money work is cinnamon. And this is why, and I know I'm going to catch hell for this, Goldschlager is a fantastic alcohol to use in money work. For those of you fortunate enough to never have tasted Goldschlager, it's cinnamon schnapps with actual gold flakes in the bottle. I do use Goldschlager in money work, and you can really use any cinnamon liqueur in money work. I use Fireball too. Hell, it works like a bastard. It's pretty gross, but it works. Wine is also a solid choice for a great way to close out money rituals. It's made with grapes, which are all about abundance and prosperity. And you can make a nice mulled wine or a mulled cider with cinnamon and nutmeg. And this makes it like a triple threat for money work. And cider is an excellent substitute for wine if you're not interested in alcohol, because apples are incredibly lucky. They embody abundance. So luck, prosperity, money, apples, and wine. I like wine for prophecy and divination work too. And other elements for your divination libations are going to be juniper. And for me, juniper means gin. I love gin. It is absolutely packed with herbal allies that we can use in a lot of our work. And besides juniper, which is the primary defining characteristic of gin, it also contains coriander, which is associated with clairvoyance. It's protective because it contains fennel, grains of paradise, and angelica root. And protection is an excellent asset if we're doing divination work. We don't want any old information coming in. We want to be very specific. It's also got lavender. Gin has lavender for dream work and intuition. And gin-based drinks are so powerful for receiving and channeling intuitive and psychic messages. And for general psychic benefits, we can also use peppermint. Peppermint schnapps, peppermint liqueur, peppermint syrup in our hot chocolate. Again, we don't have to use alcohol. Very good for divination and just general clairvoyance, general psychic ability. Strawberries are very strong divination ally, and I think we usually think of strawberries in love works, and that's totally valid, but they're dead useful for divination. So if you're doing a really rigorous divination ritual and you want to cap it off with a strawberry margarita, you are not gonna be disappointed. But, since we already started down the road, let's talk about love spells a little bit and, ways we can support them with our love potions. So strawberries, hell yes. Muddle some strawberries, mix them with sparkling water if you're not a margarita girl or boy. But also pomegranates. Pomegranate juice in love work is insanely powerful. I mean, there's so much symbolism inherent in pomegranates. Just in general, we have the Hades and Persephone connection, and therefore incidentally life in the afterlife too. But there's this deep, boundless soulmate kind of connection that we think of when we think of pomegranates, probably because of that Hades Persephone connection. Like, that shit is deep. And you can also use pomegranate juice in so many mixed drinks. Pomegranate margaritas, pomegranate cosmopolitans. You can make a pomegranate gin fizz, pomegranate mimosa. So great. Such a great, like a morning drink to follow up a night of sex magic. If you want to like wrap it up with a bow, pomegranate mimosa after your sex magic. Perfect. It's perfection. Basically, if you're doing some work and it's going to take a lot out of you, finish strong with a nice drink that's going to help you unwind, while it also helps to keep those energies that you've just raised surrounding you for a while. This is valid work. It's a nice little treat and it's fun to do. I love making drinks for myself, for my friends, and for my loved ones. And if I can set a vibe for the function using my knowledge of spirits, then I'm calling it witchcraft and I'm having a good time. So please go forth. Please share your favorite drink recipes. I'm always on the lookout. Thank you for joining me. Enjoy the start of Virgo season next week. I believe it's Wednesday. And we'll talk again next time. My name is Eli Rowe, and I'm the middle-aged witch.